You did see the Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Maiha, in that report, and we have him right here in our studio ready for a conversation. Honorable Minister, it's a pleasure to have you on News Extra tonight.
Thank you.
All right, now tell us about that MOU with Nestle Nigeria PLC. What prospects does it hold for Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Today we had a very historic day for us between the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development and Nestle Nigeria PLC. Since the creation of the ministry, and even before that, being personally involved in animal ranching in this country, we have recognized a large gap in terms of skill acquisition, practical hands-on experience in terms of in-farm management. But most people will ask, we've been farming since times immemorial, we've been rearing animals since times immemorial, what does it require? Why do I need to go to a school to be able to take care of a goat, or to milk a cow, or to manage a herd? Basically, it is just like 1 and 1,000. That's the difference. So the historic signing today demonstrates that, look, we need to take practical steps to close the wide gaps in terms of knowledge, practical knowledge in managing dairy or ranching businesses. Now, we had a letter of intent with Nestle PLC about a year ago, but in between that period to date, we've been talking, going back and forth, trying to, fashion out the document, build the school, develop the curriculum, understand the trajectory, and then identify also what kind of cadre, what kind of farm workers do you need to go to that skill development center. So today we appended our signature to that, and that means that that school today at Pakonkore is ready to admit students who want to go into to go to school to learn how to manage a dairy farm. Now, the curriculum of that school is going to be benchmarked on the best skills development centers across the world, particularly Global South. We have made that very, very abundantly clear to Nestle management, and we are on the same page with that. Secondly, it is going to be skewed 70-30%. 70% of the time students will spend in that school will be on practical, empirical farm experiences. 30% will be in classroom, because the classroom gives you an abstract idea about cows, about dairy cows, about milking, about milk, about milking machine, about fodder, about pasture. But once you go to the field, you practically see it, you get your hands and boots dirty, and you know it, you learn it by doing it. So that is the trajectory, and we believe that that school is coming to close that huge gap, and is going to admit students across the cadre, the doers on the farm, middle level, as well as farm managers. A farm needs to have a manager, the one that can now look at the business as a business. He look at the animal as an economic unit. He look at the cow as a cash cow, and actually transform that mama cow into an animal unit that is producing money, that is sustainably producing, making profit, and the farm overall is becoming profitable. That's what we do. So we have to look at holistically how to manage the farm economically.
Great initiative, I must say, Honorable Minister. But I know you're doing quite a lot in the livestock industry. But tell us, what more should Nigerians expect, away from this MOU with Nestle Nigeria, and of course, some other projects that you have done in the past?
Well, the Skill Development Center we have signed an MOU today is just one out of many that are coming up. Remember, this is just one school which is supposed to serve 235 million Nigerians. That is far, far, far from being sufficient. And therefore, we've started this as a pilot. We are studying how, again, to be able to multiply these schools all over the country, to make it available for those who want to come into dairy as a business, as a worker. You need to go to school, you need to get qualified, you need to get certificated, you need to be certified as competent to manage a dairy farm, looking at all the gamut of activities, from feed and fodder, from water, from disease diagnostics, from vaccinations, from managing, milking machines, for also looking at technical issues like artificial insemination or embryo transfer. All this will be looked at. But on this again, we are also looking at very, very seriously on disease and animal health management. We are not unconscious of some out of the outbreaks we are having, like Newcastle, like avian influenza, like CBPP, like FMD. We are aware of all these things. Now we are developing national response strategies along each of these diseases. In fact, tomorrow we are going to now inaugurate one on our CBPP. So we are conscious of all this, and we are very, very confident that going forward, one by one, we'll be able to single out these diseases, control them, and then get them out, eradicated out of this country to improve our marketability in the global livestock market in terms of animal products, as well as particularly the red meat industry that we have been hoping, to arrive at and begin to sell Nigerian red meat on the global market. So these are some of the things we are doing.
Nice. The livestock industry seems to be booming with you as the minister. But, speak to us about incentives, for players who would like to go into the livestock industry, or, those currently in the industry. Are there incentives or interventions to encourage them?
The number one encouragement here, let me give you an example. Our annual milk consumption is 1.7 billion liters in this country. We are the largest market on the African continent. Locally, we are only able to make 600 to 700 million liters. The gap translated into $1.5 billion are being imported. There is nothing more incentivizing than any businessman who wants to capture $1.5 billion and domicile it in his pocket. That is the number one incentive. The ministry under this able government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is creating that necessary environment to make sure that Nigerians jump at this opportunity to get into local import substitution for dairy and dairy products, so that we can dent that figure of foreign exchange that we are sending out of this country. Secondly, we are ever ready to work along with anybody interested in getting into livestock business, right from the honeybee up to the camel.
All right. Many thanks, Honorable Minister Idi Mukhtar Maiha, for joining us on News Extra. Great work you're doing. Please keep up the good work, and of course, would love to have you some other time. Thank you for being on News Extra tonight.
Thank you.